welcome to another episode of our optimized podcast, the optimized the Prime podcast. I'm Lazina, your co-host, and I have with me Nasheed, who
Hi.
my co-host.
Right.
And today we have our two guests, Shabir and my brother, Arfan. I'm always going to say that because I'm super, super proud. And today our topic is going to be around the detaching your work from your workload. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way when I was working from needing validation to understanding what my purpose was and working from that empowerment state. So I'm really excited to hear how our conversation flows today. Nasheed, take it away.
Yeah. Super excited, and we have two gentlemen, and when I read their stories, and I found like we should get them in the hosting somewhere in our podcast because they have a lot of stories to tell. And we were discussing before starting the podcast about Arfan and Shabir, and both of them are very successful in their own stories. And we want to share to our community like what are their stories, struggling points, why they select the entrepreneurship, and why they left the comfort zone, and right now they're enjoying their life. Yeah, some of the words we heard about retirement, but both of them, what we see is like full-time entrepreneur and doing a lot of changes in the world, right? So super excited and really learn from you guys as well.
Thank you for
Shabir,
having me.
oh, sorry. Shabir, would you please go ahead and share with us your journey of what even brought you into entrepreneurship?
Wow. Uh, that's a long story because I'm not young. So basically, born in Bangladesh, raised in Europe, in many places, big background in marketing, career in corporate finance, about a 40-year career, of which a little less than 40, 30 years pretty much as a CFO, most of it as CFO, with medium and larger organizations. Most of my career was in Europe as well. And I made a lot of money for shareholders and not enough for myself. And I had a bit of a late start. As a kid, I had all the privileges, but I was an incredible lazy bum. And so I would say I was blessed with capabilities of various kind. I had a ridiculous amount of confidence in myself, which helped promote my procrastination, which is why the late start. And when I did start, I had to initially fight a little bit to catch up because I was late on the typical curve that you would have age to success. And as I progressed, I got to learn many things about how to manage, which is probably why I quickly became a CFO. And although I didn't have the finance background, but at some point in the career, I thought I knew it all and decided to be a consultant. Tried that for a number of years. It was a lot of fun, but no ownership of responsibilities, which was not what I like. It was a ridiculous amount of traveling internationally between US and Asia. Then I gave that up and I went back to my career. And in between a few times, I tried some ventures, but I realized that unless you do it full-fledgedly, it's not easy to do that. So now I have physically retired from my career. I did that end of last year, which is doing me a lot of good because I can full-fledgedly focus on my new initiatives. It's a lot of fun. It's very exciting. Yeah, and let's see where it goes. I mean, I'm confident that and the reason I did it a little differently, many people stick to one um, effort at a time. They focus on their passion or the opportunity and say, I'm going to put everything on it. I decided to go a little broader, to try a couple of things parallel. I was used to managing many, like in Europe, I was managing $1 billion division for both Johnson Controls, later for Stanley Black and Decker, multi divisions, multi countries. So I felt comfortable that I would be able to manage more than one initiative at a time, and that also helps balance the risk a little bit. So hoping that one or the other would kick off. So that's kind of where I am now, in the early stages of the entrepreneurial life. It's kind of late to do that in the age where I am today. But, just because I'm keeping a white beard doesn't necessarily reduce my energy level. So, yeah, so I am very excited about what's coming.
Thank you so much for sharing that because I feel so good. Thank you so because I feel like I'm a little bit late in the entrepreneurial game. And so you sharing your story just kind of gave me a lot more hope for myself. So thank you very much. That has already made a significant impact on me right now. Thank you. Go ahead,
Right.
Arfan.
All right. So I want to start just telling you all a story. And we're gonna go back to the early 90s in Wakenham, Guyana, which is a country island, 17 square miles, very small island, and is a farming island. So rice fields, cattle, chickens, dirt roads. And I'm sitting in the back on a hammock at my grandparents' house, and someone drives up the station wagon. It's a green station wagon, ugly but beautiful. And it's just one of those things where manual transmission, and I see my uncle open a briefcase, and it's just loaded with cash. Something you see from a movie where it's just a drug dealer or something like that. But they were buying this vehicle straight cash. Now, I don't know how much money that was, but as a 6, 7 year old, it was a lot of money. And that instilled something in me that knowing that as I grew up, going to a regular job wasn't something even in my mind. However, as we left Guyana, came to America, went through the education system, was on that path of joining the rat race, and I did. Finished high school. And another story, I found out I had the gift of gab around 18, and this afforded me to be able to get a sales job in which I was quickly moving up in the company. In 6 months, I had my own store I was managing, and I was only 18. They had no idea I was 18 because of my success in sales. And one day, a gentleman came in and he offered me one of his opportunities. It's an MLM opportunity. As I look back now, I realized the entire sales pitch for it. But this opened my eyes to entrepreneurship and what it means to be an entrepreneur. And I started filling myself with a lot of the books. How to Win Friends, Influence People, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And we can go down the list. Over the years, I've read hundreds of books. We could sit here and name them all all day long. However, I had this itch of wanting to be a business owner, but at the same time stuck in the fact that I had a job that needed to provide for the lifestyle I had. And it wasn't even an amazing, great lifestyle. It was just that that's the race. It often comes down to living paycheck to paycheck. And I knew I didn't want that. However, I continued working on the MLM, found out that wasn't for me, but continued working the job, continued doing really well. And I started identifying that I was able to do quite a bit. I was able to talk my way into the right circles, into the right deals, and be able to get my pay increases a little bit beyond the 3% every year just because of promotions and also raises on top of promotions. It worked out in my favor. Now, I got married also very young in my early 20s. And part of that journey was continuing now because I was deep into the rat race, but I knew I had this entrepreneur itch. So I was like, oh, you know what? Better what? My wife could be an entrepreneur. I continue working. So we kind of split it up that way to where I was always in both puddles. I was working a traditional corporate job, and I was in retail management and also in entrepreneurship, not directly, but in the background of it. And my journey came where I started seeing I want to move up into corporate. It was actually a nice gig. So I decided, let me go back to college, let me get a degree. It'll increase my opportunities. Now, while I was already working in retail, the degree I was going for was a degree in business management and leadership, very much so managing others. I was already doing this. So a lot of my experience that I would talk about on the discussions and in my papers was directly related to my real life experience. And I got recruited out of college into quote unquote what would be a career job. Now, this was something extremely demanding. I was working 10, 12 plus hours a day in retail management, leading teams of 80 to 100, constantly hiring and going through the entire gamut of working long hours, long days, long weeks, sometimes 5, 6 days a week. And it became tiring having a growing family to come home, leaving so early, coming home. And just sometimes you see my kids and they're growing before my eyes. Like when I saw you yesterday and when I saw you today, you grew. Like you grew up. You grew from it was not a little baby anymore. They're growing in front of my eyes, and this desire to now wanting to spend more time and be more involved without needing to be tied down into a 9 to 5 became stronger and stronger. And my attempts at entrepreneurships while working a job and starting to do a little side hustle I was always having something going, whether I was selling on eBay or going to garage sales, finding things, all these little things here, but nothing ever that was big or actually sustainable in terms of replacing a corporate salary. So ended up just continuing this path, and there came a point where it was just enough was enough. And my wife at the time, we partnered together and started working on creating an online business involving coaching and helping others with again, we were doing pretty okay with her business for the creative side and wanted to teach others how to do the same thing, how to be able to market on social media, how to attract clients locally and how to grow their business. So we ended up saying, hey, 6 months, we want to get this done. So we locked in hard for 6 months, cutting off streaming services, really narrowing down. If anyone ever followed Dave Ramsey, there is a baby step approach where he talks about just eliminating any joy almost from your life and just operating in such a bare minimum way. So we did this for a while with the intentions of we're going to be able to get out my corporate job and be able to fully go into business and really take at it. So we did that actually. We accomplished it. And October 18th of 2018, I gave my 3 weeks notice because that was nice. And I left that corporate job. Everyone was surprised because I was also a high performer. I was really attached a lot to doing quite a bit for the company beyond just my role. I was helping the district in multiple different ways. And I can go into that, but not right now. It's just it took a lot of my time. I said yes to a lot of things, and everyone was shocked and surprised when I left. However, this allowed me to now step fully into entrepreneurship, still operating very lean. And along the way, while this was also my wife's business, I was also thinking of what do I need to do? What do I want to do? So I was like, I like the idea of the online business because it's time freedom. I don't have to clock in, I don't have to clock out. I could also work from anywhere. So I started exploring coaching. At the same time, I was starting to help others with their marketing because my background in business was always management and leadership. Part of that, I spent a lot of time learning marketing, learning how to position a company, the messaging of a company, and how to grow it. And I never really paid attention a lot to the organic stuff because I just love the paid ads. And I was like, this just makes so much more sense. You could spend a decade organically and then be able to achieve the same results using paid strategies within 2, 3 years. So I was like, yes, I want to focus on this. So I started helping some of the clients we were bringing on with their advertising while I was still exploring what I wanted to do on my own. And as God would have it, He always creates a path for us that's perfect for His will, and sometimes it's not the way we want to go. But there was a moment where I was just sitting in a conference, and the everyone was talking about what they did, And it came out that I also help with ads. And by the time I got home, I started getting a bunch of DMs and a bunch of emails of people me asking me for ad support. Because Facebook ads was something that was a bit of an elusiveness to it because they didn't have a great manual, much less something that was very heavily involved for the coaching and consultant and the expert side of the business. Everything is heavily catered. 80% of the platform is heavily catered to e-commerce, those who are selling an actual physical product or through an online shop. So it was an underserved market, and I was just naturally good at it because I took my experience of marketing, applied what I knew about building a business online, and catered a strategy towards advertising that honestly just worked. We were able to attract leads, convert leads, and been able to continue doing that process now full time for 6 years with many coaches across the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, almost the entire world, really helping them to leverage Facebook advertising systems so they can attract leads and turn cold traffic into paying buyers. And it's been an incredible journey. The greatest thing of all is that I get the opportunity to spend more time with my kids. My work day, my work week now looks like 20, 25 hours a week compared to the 55, 60 plus hours a week. And there's an entire team that's behind the system to allow us to do this work with our clients. And because we're working with coaches, we're working with a lot of life coaches, health coaches, relationship coaches, wealth coaches, etc. We're doing a lot of great work. And something that was really impactful was along my journey. And I was like, is advertising what I want to do? Is it really giving me fulfillment? And as I was saying this, one of my clients shared a testimonial that they got from one of their clients where they were sharing, it was a life coach, and the person was just sharing that they were at their end. They were ready to just end it all, to give it all up. And they saw this ad pop up on Facebook, and this person was talking about exactly what they were going through and how they were feeling. They signed up for that workshop, joined the program, and now they have a joy spark to them again. And I was like, thank you, God, for answering my prayers as far as like if I'm getting fulfillment or not, because this right here shows that there's a lot of meaning and a lot of impact behind my work. And it's been the entrepreneurship and why I love it so much is because of what it allows us to do in our life to be able to take our purpose and our mission and make it our life. And it's just the world right now, we can also do it in a way where we're able to financially support ourselves and be able to access at any given moment the entire world. And I absolutely love it. And I can't see it. I can't imagine doing anything else but being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Of course, I'm over the moon hearing it. I think that one of the thing that stood out the most between what both of you have shared is that at the beginning, it's not overnight success. It takes a hot minute. It takes some sacrifices, but those are the same sacrifices that you gave to another company in the first place. And now you're just doing it for yourself, and the rewards are there. And I experienced that myself. I mean, I still have a regular corporate job, but I'm also me on the other side of that. And there was a time when I needed. Arfan, you're the one who kind of like tried to plant that seed within me about entrepreneurship, and I just couldn't get it. Like my mindset was so in survival mode that I didn't even know that how much of my worth was attached to every part of my life. And especially when I'm going into work and I'm overperforming for someone else, I'm giving so much of me for maybe a thank you or maybe a, this is a good job. And to have that switch now where I don't work from that anymore, it's a switch that I can't even explain in words because
Okay.
it's so deep within.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, Arfan, and thank you, Shabir, for sharing your stories, right? And what we four have mostly common is like the entrepreneurship journey, right? So we test these entrepreneurship, and when I was in working with the multinationals, like, and when I took the decision of starting the entrepreneurship, and right now I'm sharing like yeah, I did the best choice and best decision ever, right? To jump into that because it's a lot of challenges. Every time it's a war kind of situations, right? And I know Shabir is laughing, right? So there's a lot of ups and downs and everything, but at the end of the day, you're doing something for your own something for your own business, and definitely you are not making other company rich. Why not you start your own, right? So that's the best part, right? And I know Lazena has like 1,000 of question to both of you guests as well,
Yeah.
so you can shoot them up, right?
Okay. Well, I do have a lot of questions. So, let's see. The first one I guess I will go to is how has performance or the constant need to prove yourself shaped your story?
Yeah, we can start with Shabir.
Okay. Thank you, Nashid.
I mean, for me, it was a little bit different. It wasn't so much to prove myself. As I said, I had a bit of a slow start, and I was like not sure of what I wanted to do. So my career started really as an English teacher. So similar to Arfan, I got married very early because I fell in love, not because I had any other pressure. And despite the fact that I grew up privileged with my parents, they did not support the marriage, as a lot of Asian parents do take a hard stand on who you want to elope. So I got married early. I think that kind of gave me the kick that now I need to really focus and do something. So I went back to college, finished my undergrad and MBA, and started at Citibank. However, here is where the real interesting thing happened. When I was teaching English, this is an institution called Berlitz Language Schools. It was the largest language school system in the world at that time. It's an American company. Now it's Japanese owned. And it's very expensive. So basically, it was who is who in Austria, because I grew up in Austria, came to that school. And most of the people who I was teaching were all the C-suite people in Austria, from banks, organizations, and whatnot. And as I was doing my studies, which was in marketing and then the MBA, I realized that any of those discussions with these people, now mind you, these people, they all spoke English pretty well. They just wanted to really get a very comfortable grip on the language so they could negotiate, impress their business partners and whatnot. So a lot of the discussions were about corporate matters. And when I was feeling and I saw their respect in my knowledge, I started to be very convinced that, hey, I have something that I can really build on. And I started getting job offers from a lot of these people. So the question was I at that point in time trying to was I in the need to prove something to myself, or is it more a necessity of my life, or to show my parents that, you know what, I left home because you guys didn't want me, and now I'll show you. I don't think it was any of that. It was simply, you know what, I want to do good things. I want to achieve good things. So it was more about career ambition than really performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I had in my mind, my first thing was, you know what, I'm going to be a marketing manager at one of the multinationals. That was my first goal. And so I started with Citibank because I got a great job offer, but then I moved. So this kind of built me and I have to also admit, Austria is Central Europe, which means there was at that time in the late 80s, early 90s, there was not a single person from Asia in the C-suite of any organization in Austria or Germany, as a matter of fact. So what that says is if you're not European, you're not going anywhere.
Mm.
So that basically forced me to be better than others. And better than others did not necessarily mean that I had to perform better. It means I had to impress people. And impressing the senior C-suite people is more than just doing a good job. You have to show your strategic thinking. You have to show your proactiveness. You have to show leadership skills, networking, relationship. And that's what I was able to do. That period at Berlitz, where I was talking to the C-suite people on a daily basis for 8 to 10 hours,
Yeah.
that gave me so much confidence that whoever was sitting across the table, I was never shy to say, hey, that's wrong. So that helped me make a very quick career because I was not, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full. I was not doing that, what a lot of other people were doing. I was talking always one-on-one. No, I don't think we should do that. I think we should do this. How about this? I used to always annoy everybody with ideas for doing things differently. So this change management personality was there in me from the very beginning. Also because my personality is, I am not a master of anything, but I'm a jack of many trades, which is the same thing for my music or whatever it is that I do, which is also why I have a marketing background, but a corporate finance career. So I would say that again, it wasn't so much the performance, it was more about proving myself to myself that I am worthy of a C-suite position. And, within 6 years of starting my career, I was already a CFO for a country of a very large Swedish group. So, and after that, this just continued.
I like that. I like that you were self-motivated in your becoming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, let us hear from Arfan, right? So what's your stories, right?
Yeah, could you repeat the question back again? I just want to make sure I get the exact
How
question.
has performance or constant need to prove yourself shape your story?
Gotcha. How deep do we want to go with this?
I mean,
Because
I'm deep
this
in the
is,
Atlantic Ocean, so
yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah. As if you don't know Arfan, right? So yeah.
yeah. So there's many layers of this for me, when it comes to like how performance have just shaped me in general. And part of it is a certain level of awareness. So growing up, I've always been someone that was able to, for one reason or another, kind of get a spotlight, whether it was in school or a project or anything like that. And that started a bit of a spark in me because I liked it, right? It was it made me feel good. So I always like to have achievements, and along the way, I started going after more and more achievements because it naturally satisfied this inner desire I have. Because again, it kind of made me feel really good, right? Now, this has gotten to the point where it became a little bit to the extreme, to where I was identified as a high achiever, high performance, and I studied this too as well. Studied this too quite a bit, in terms of even helping others to be able to develop the skills needed to be a high performer, a high achiever, to be able to accomplish more and do more. The great thing about this is that I was able to rapidly excel and get promoted in workplace. I was able to perform well in school. The con of that is that I said yes to just about everything, and my time was non-existent. So my time for myself was not there. So there was a constant need to always prove myself because I ended up just having that because everything I did was always done to some sort of getting some sort of award or achievement or some sort of recognition. in just about everything. And this was shaped a lot in my own doing, but also the system is also rigged like this too as well. We go to careers and what do? They give us props, they give us recognition for doing little things or big things. As a store, we got awards. With every Tuesday or every month or every yearly manager meeting, depending on how our stores perform, there would be awards. And it's something that we always chase. Every corporate job I've worked at typically had some sort of recognition or award system, and it was always a shiny object to chase. And I was the chaser of it. I chased the heck out of it. I was the rat that wanted to get the cheese at the at the end of the maze, and I
Yeah.
kept going, and kept going. It as I got older and as I stepped into entrepreneurship, this actually started to uncover a lot of other layers of how much this is actually impacting me, just even on an emotional level. While I did like achieving, a lot of my worth was tied to achieving. If I wasn't achieving, I didn't really feel that level of worth, like that self-worth, that natural self-worth, like I'm good enough, I'm doing enough, and everything is going to be okay. Being able to have that sense of security is actually really important. And it's something that I had to discover within the past few years, so to say. And entrepreneurship really uncovered that, especially as I started increasing more in my clientele, attracting more ideal clients, higher caliber clients, and pushing my own level of success in terms of what me myself and my company has been able to achieve for clients. This started unlocking a lot of these things of am I good enough? Like, am I able to continue this level of performance? And it really became some sort of a hindrance. And I started really diving into a lot of like where this was even rooted from. And Nashid, you know Lazina, so you know a little bit of her background and the world and the community we're part of. But really diving in and really looking back into my life, especially when I was younger, and starting to pinpoint like how this even started, has been able to really allow me now to take that achievement tie away from my self-worth and knowing that my achievements aren't necessarily tied to my worth or that I'm valuable because of my achievement, but I'm valuable nonetheless. Now, I'm naturally an ambitious person, and again, achievements make me feel good. So I set a lot of my own reward system, my own things that I'm going after in order to not tie my achievement to any particular outcome, except those for which I set myself, and all within a own healthy boundary for myself. So it's a very deep topic and something that's taken me years to get to the point where I'm no longer tying my achievement because there were times where if a promotion was unsuccessful, where it was prior success, I
Mhm.
would have these extreme high and lows where I was on top of the world 1 minute, then all of a sudden the next minute I was down. And it was a big, big, big thing that I had to really sever that connection, sever that tie in order to really feel that what I'm doing and just my way and my essence of being is really, really good enough. Yeah, it's been a journey and it is still a journey for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. And then, yeah, I know Lazena for almost 3, 4 years, right? Probably, yeah.
Maybe a year and a half.
Maybe a year and a half or two
But it
years,
feels
right?
like
Yeah, right. And then and the good part is like she's something like a sister type, right? Always helpful and everything. So I know like the motivation also comes from her as well, and every time and doing it. And when we stuck in many areas in the coaching business or maybe in other areas, so we set for a discovery calls, understand both of us and found the connection, right? Like let's see, why not we start something a podcast to help all the success stories or the failures, right? People talk about the success stories mostly, but definitely we should hear the failures as well because how you fail and then how you got up and how you found the path to achieve, that's also the important part. And that's one of the reasons like we put these questions in some areas like to know more and spread the words like what are the struggling areas. So if anyone wants to start, age is just a number, right? So
yeah.
no one is retiring and everybody's in the full speed of entrepreneurship. So the people who wants to start the entrepreneurship and who is also planning to have a retirement, so the message is like, yeah, you can start in at any age, right? If KFC can start
Yeah.
in 60s or 68 or something like that, so
Yeah,
it's
64.
never a story. 64, right? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, coming back to all the questions was in there, right? So
So I think for time purposes, because we can go on forever, I want to talk a little bit, and both of you guys, what practice or mindset shift, and I think Shabir, this one, I'm going to call out some of the things that you're working on, like what practice or mindset shift help you sh separate your identity from being a CFO to becoming an entrepreneur across multi companies. And I believe you have GearX, the Cloud Creative, and you're welcome to share what else you are doing. And Arfan, the same question will apply to you for you
yeah.
too. So dive into.
My
Very tough
title
question.
as CFO was really not something that I had dreamt of from the young age. I wanted to be an executive in an organization. I wasn't focused. There are people who, at the young age, they know what they want. I wasn't one of them. I was like flexible, and believe I still am that kind of a person. That I think that agility helps my personality. One second, please. That is simply who I am, which is in a way good, because you are like, okay, this doesn't work. Let me move on to something else. You're not terribly disappointed. You're not broken. You are positive. You have a positive mindset. If one thing doesn't work, I'll move on to another. And this, I think, stayed with me and helped me also to migrate from the CFO career position to this. Now, there is a big change when you are running organizations. Like in Europe, I had almost 5,000 people reporting up to me, because I was not only CFO, but I was also a managing director at the same time. And then you're on your own, and you don't have people to delegate to. And I was a person who had an army under me. I only had to think and say, hey, I think we should do this. And, I wasn't autocratic in the sense that my wish was their command. But suddenly, when you become an entrepreneur, you have to put your sleeves up. You have to get your feet in the water. It's a very different mindset. And I know in theory what it takes for an entrepreneur to be successful. Whether I can actually do that, and definition of success is always relative. What I may consider success, Arfan may think that's nothing. That's just the beginning. It's different for everybody. But the thing that I think will help me become successful in these different companies that I've started is the concept of grit. Unless I step up and have that grit and tenacity, I don't think I'll be successful, because I'm in a situation of my life where I don't have to. It's something I want to. There's a very big difference between have to and want to. If you're in a state where you don't have to, but you want to, and you can motivate yourself to the point where grit, tenacity is, and that is where self-motivation comes in. And whether it's one company or two companies or 5 companies doesn't really matter. It's, can you put enough of your mindset, your strategy, your energy, your focus to make it successful? Now, these different companies that I'm involved in, there are a couple more. Each one is at a different stage of its infancy. So yes, you can never put enough. The more I put, the better it will be. but I think it's yet to be seen whether I can dedicate that level of grit and tenacity. I don't lack vision. I don't lack strategy or strategic ideas. I don't lack knowledge of how to do it. But my biggest question mark to myself is grit and tenacity.
That's amazing. I can see that. I like how you shaped it too. It makes sense. The not have to and need to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
I would definitely need an accountability buddy for that.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then going forward, like what we see is like the mindset is very important, and sometimes uh starting in a comfort zone gave you a lot of ego problems, and there that's the main part. And I guess the main successful areas, somebody asked me in one of the conference, like what is the important areas when you shift uh from comfort to that. So my two areas was like ego and the mindset, right? So he was asking like ego and mindsets both are different, like you need to have an age, strength, and everything. I said like no, the mindset is very important, and also the ego, because when you have in your comfort zone, you develop the ego, right? So you cannot work, you cannot wait for the customers because you got paycheck every month, but you have to wait for the customer, listen to the customers. You don't have 600, 100, 500 people army in your regimes, right? So you need to go and talk to the people, uh, invoicing and everything. So yeah, that's one of the important areas, right?
Yeah.
So before we go to our fun, right? So Lasagna, you can share one of or two your mindsets, because our fun is having a lot of good stories. So we also need to know about your mindsets, just
Um,
for a short while, right?
my mindset, how deep do you want?
What changed you? What changed you from shifting the mindsets, having podcast from your job as well?
I did not it was a moment of realization that I had been sleeping on myself. Everybody else saw my potential and I didn't. And so once I realized like, wow, I was the one, I'm the problem. I'm the one who's holding myself down. I chose to, growing up, I chose to believe that I wasn't wanted and I wasn't important. And so every decision and everything that's happened in my life had been tied to that. So how I showed up at work, how I showed up as a daughter, a mother, a sister, a coworker, a friend, were all tied to me needing to be good enough for everybody else. And once I was able to prove that to myself, it was like, wait, I can do just about anything that I want. I'm the one who's stopping me. Nothing else is stopping me. Anybody can have an opinion about what I'm doing or have a criticism or feedback. It's how I take that and how what I make out of that. It was um and there was a period of practicing that self-belief. It had to come with practice. I couldn't just, okay, I believe it. Imposter syndrome. And one of the things I always say, well, not always, I've started to say is nothing makes you face yourself more than becoming an entrepreneur because you have to face fear of rejection, fear of, the imposter syndrome. Everything is tied to facing yourself and overcoming it. What is a client gonna think? How am I gonna talk to someone and really get my words across? Do I have a checklist to do? I was getting more in my head and that was stopping me from just, you know what, wing it, go for it, just believing in myself. And every time something says no, do what says yes. And it took a lot of willpower to do that and a lot of practice, but that mindset shift just it naturally happened as I kept practicing. I am the creator of my life. I'm the one who can make my life good or make it bad. So I'm going to choose to be the creator. And in every opportunity that comes up, is this a no? How can I make it a yes? And just going with that. If it's not coming from love, it's coming from fear, and fear just needs love. So add love every opportunity. Say yes to everything that feels joyful. And when it's scary, even jump out of a plane. Like it just all kind of started to unfold as I started believing myself and see myself.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Good, good. Thank you. Thank you, Lavina. Arfan? Yeah, we are waiting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of layers there when it comes to mindset because, mindset is something that is unique to us. So for me, I have my mindset, and my mindset was molded based off of my experiences and my beliefs. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, each and every one of us will have a different part of a mindset shift that's needed at every step along the way. So at step one, the very, very first one, when we're first stepping into it, there is a mindset shift that would have to get overcome, right, to go into it. And a big one for me was just that I'm actually building something from scratch that doesn't have a prior foundation because my history working in corporations have been going into a management job that was already established with set KPIs and set standard operating procedures. So there was literally a manual for the position. As I'm creating a company, I'm now creating that manual. And part of that was the mindset shift was actually looking at what I'm creating and dissecting it piece by piece, understanding that I'm filling the role of the CEO, the CMO, the CFO, all these different roles, that I'm filling all these roles. And I literally sat down and drew out an organizational chart. And although I was filling all these roles, I knew that, okay, in order to make this a company, in order to make this successful, these roles are going to need to be filled. While I'm doing it right now, which ones do I need to fill out the bat? And there's layers of that goes into it, and I'm just going to share from my experience as far as how I had to start shifting my mind is knowing that I was also going to be okay with releasing certain tasks because there's certain things that I can go and do and I can just look at and it's done. I mean, it's just because it's such a zone of excellence for me because I'm able to I already know what to click and what to do and all these things in order to get it done. And there are times you work with someone and they don't have that same level of expertise, and it's saying, okay, I have to trust them to be able to get the training they need, to give the training and for to get the training and give them the time so they can actually learn the skill. Otherwise, I'm going to be constantly micromanaging and constantly going in there. And it's really was a big shift for me, one of my biggest mindset shifts because again, being someone that's a high achiever, high performance, I can and I will sacrifice the time in other places to be able to do everything.
Hmm.
So I had to really make that shift of saying, hey, it's okay for me to delegate and to look and see what positions do I need to delegate first so I can start freeing up my time to start doing exactly more of what I need to do. And now from that, there's all the other layers of your mindset that'll come into place. And there are some of us, so some of you may be listening right now, and you're okay with rejection. Rejection is not something that stings so much. And I've talked to a lot of those who've done door-to-door sales or they've done sales, and I'm coming from a sales background. I have a little thicker skin for rejection because I understand it's always a numbers game. If I talk to 100 people, I know I'm not going to get 100 yeses. It'd be foolish of me to think so. So my mind's already programmed that rejection is part of it. Now, in the entrepreneur journey, rejection can also often look like failure. And Damon John said this best, and he was like, the reason why he's so successful is that his ability to go from failure to failure, from failure to failure, is quicker than anyone else he's seen. So if he gets knocked down, he's getting right back. If he gets knocked down, he's getting right back. And because of doing that, he's been able to achieve successes. Because not every time you get knocked down, not every time it's a failure. And I take that to heart because if I see something is not going as well, or if it looks like a bit on like a failure on paper. It's like, okay, I have to get right back up. I have to debrief and analyze what didn't go well and continue doing that. And that's like, it's more than one mindset thing I'm talking about right now. But these shifts have allowed me in the very beginning in the entrepreneur journey when these failures have the biggest hit, it's like I'm a day one boxer going against sparring with Mike Tyson, and every single punch feels like a sledgehammer coming across coming across. And it's like if I can get back up, I can show up again on day two. Slowly but surely, I'm kind of holding my own. I'm still getting wrecked. I'm still getting beat up, but I'm not getting knocked down in the first punch anymore. And that thick skin now ends up saying, well, I can look back and I can look at the company and say, oh wow, we've actually just grown exponentially over these months, over these years, because a lot of these little steps add up to big gains along the way.
Mm. That's
Wow.
That's really,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. You hit a nail on the head with that. It's every phase I feel has some definitely has a moment. Even in the breakdown process, the building process or the self process is it all goes together and having that like Shabir said, the grit and tenacity to know that
Hmm.
I can stand up and still get back up. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're in the arena, that's when you notice that the most.
It's like,
Because it's not for those who are looking at it through, from the back of a screen. It's
yeah.
like
Mhm.
the person who's in the arena is the one who ends up knowing that, hey, when I get punched and I get knocked down, am I going to stay down or am I going to get up?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
just setting it in the mind even beforehand, and every time I get knocked down, I'm going to get back up. Like that is a mindset shift, and it's a very powerful one.
Yeah. And then with mindsets, I guess adding some of the points is like the patience is also one of the areas. Like patience is the key to success. Some people say it like, and every time we talk about the patience is something like a long journey. So right now people are talking about not the unicorn one, rather a camel strategy. You know what the camel strategy is all about, right? Just to stay alive and go because we have
Hmm.
recessions, COVIDs, and everything. So it's not like a matrix like the red pill and the blue pill. Like you have it and tomorrow you'll be the unicorn, but you need to have a long mileage to run.
Yeah.
So I guess patience is also the key with the mindsets. Positive one, of course, the growth one, not the fixed one. So that's really give you extra mileage, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Well, I think we're gonna not get through a lot of the questions that I have, but
yeah.
to wrap up, I have what I want to ask is, and I am more on the healing version of life. Like my purpose is in I consider myself a healer, and that is the direction that I'm moving in. And sometimes when the word healing or the healing journey is mentioned, it often comes with like, oh my God, I have to do so much work, or it's hard and it's difficult. And my advice is always like, yes, it's going to be hard and yes, it's going to be difficult, but on the other side of it is something really beautiful and it's worth holding on to. It's worth getting through because when you are on that other side of it, you're no longer carrying the weight of what once held you down. It is now from empowerment. You're doing it from purpose. It's not the same lens. It's not heavy anymore. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to entrepreneur. Myself as an example, every time Arfan mentioned entrepreneur, I felt like, what am I not good enough? I would have these like, I'm gonna fail. What if it just felt like pressure, like I wasn't living up to his expectation. And that's not his, that's my mindset at the time, or anybody mention it. I would feel like a level of pressure that and the not good enough would come in. So as we are, taking this journey to help other or educate and be amongst other entrepreneurs, what are some of the advice that you would give to someone like me that is, that was scared to step into the entrepreneurship world and feared just about every darn thing that could come up in my mind, young and old? It doesn't, anyone.
So from my side, the situation is always, again, different from person to person and what you choose to do. The first questions that you have to ask yourself is, do I know how to do what I want to do? Is it just a dream? Or is it a mountain, but I know how to climb it, but it's very big? Or is it like, I don't know where I want to go. I'm just going to take a boat, put up the sail, and que sera, sera, you know? So I think every situation is very different. The second thing you have to ask yourself is this your passion, or is there a skill that you have to learn to do it just because you like the thought of it? Because many people step into a franchise area, they have no clue. They expect that knowledge to be given by the franchisor. And then there are people who say, you know what, I'll figure it out. I know I can get something good done. I don't know what that good means, but it's going to be good enough for me to be satisfied. It may neither be my passion nor is it my skill set, but I will figure it out. So I think those are fundamental questions you need to ask. And around all of this is the thing called timeline. Because you don't have you want to do this by the time you're retired? You want to do this in the next 2 years, 5 years? What is it? And how much time can you dedicate to this? So unless all of these things are really put on the paper in front of you, it remains either a fear or a pipe dream in both ends of the spectrum. And you may not take the right decisions because you haven't thought it through. Because once you know all the pieces, start putting something on paper and say, here's what I want to do. That's my MVP, my minimum viable product or result or outcome. How much time do I want to put to this? And how much extra time am I willing to give if it doesn't work out in 2 years? And then what are some of the milestones? And if I want to be structured, because, project management is something I used to also teach, or analysis, I would do almost a fishbone analysis and say, what are all the modes? And then what are all the feeders to each one of these modules that are, or milestones that are key to success from here to there, and understand what feeds into this. Do I have the knowledge, the capability? Are there other factors that is needed? Do I need extra resources, skill sets? Can I get it? Can I get it in time? Can I afford it? Unless you put all that together, you would be making a judgmental call on your entrepreneurial thing. And depending on where you are in your life, whether you need to or have to, you can decide on how much risk you want to take. Like for myself, right now, I can afford to take risks without doing all the homework, because I can say, you know what? I got 40 years of experience. My belly says it's probably going to work. I kind of thought some of it through. If it doesn't work, it's okay. I'm not going to die. Whereas somebody who is very young is putting all his or her savings into this, and if it doesn't work out, they may have to be on the street for a while. If they're passionate about it, I would still say, go for it. If you're an optimist and you don't mind, sweating it out and wearing some rags for a few days and not be embarrassed, because I'm somebody who, as I got older, I would be more worried about, hey, what's society going to think? When I was younger, I couldn't give a damn. So I think there are a lot of factors. So ask yourself all those questions. But the one thing that should never be there is fear. That's going to definitely get you to fail unless you can turn the fear into actionable items. If you're just going to fear, it's probably not going to work, and you will get ulcers soon enough. But if you can always convert the fear into actionable protection, then it's a good thing to have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very, very good advice.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Arfan, right. What's your story?
Yeah, for me, it's like from my experience, part of mine was knowledge, and it's hard to do anything, and it's hard to be able to sometimes be able to see myself having a positive outcome without the right knowledge. because my mind sometimes will not go into the most easiest, best solution or the best thing. It plays us tricks. It plays us tricks where it plays out the worst scenario, it plays out the worst case. And whenever that happens, there's no action that's going to be taken.
Mhm.
Right. So I often, what I recommend typically whenever I talk with someone who's like early on the journey, I often recommend a few books. One of them is Start with Why by Simon Sinek. And it's a really great one because ultimately, if you're going to be going into any type of entrepreneurship or any type of business, you want to have a really great why behind it. And that's going to, we talked about grit and things like that. These are all part of it that actually strengthens our ability to get back up when we get knocked down. There's two other ones that's more about tactical, and it's just the knowledge of like how to go about being a good business owner. One of it is the Lean Startup by Eric Ries, and the other one is E-Myth, E-Myth Revised, or Revisited by Michael Gerber. And they're just really two great books about what it takes to have a small business. Because we're not talking about big corporations here where there's like thousands of employees. We're talking about an entrepreneur, one person, leading the way. And eventually there will be employees and stuff in the company, but having a great understanding of organizational structure, or not even a basic understanding of it can help to alleviate the process and alleviate some of that fear that comes up. Because a lot of times that fear is that false evidence appearing real, and it's due to a lack of knowledge that we often have. And then the last one is a little bit more deeper, and this is often something where it's great to have some sort of accountability partner or someone you're working with. But it really goes down to also identifying what those beliefs are and where they stem from that's causing the fear to happen in the first place. And there is a bit of an activity that can be done that can happen over the next 5 or 6 days. And it's really just taking a journal out and just imagining that 3 years from now, you have every single thing you want, and sitting down and writing, now that I have all these things that I want, what I don't like about this reality, what don't I like about this? And just let your mind give you 10 to 15 different things. And do that over the course of about 5 to 7 days, and then look back at it and look and say, is there any reason, am I really still wondering why I haven't taken action and gone forth and made this really happen? Because you'll start to see all the reasons why internally your mind is saying, don't do this. And then from there, you can really, so I said it's good to work with someone or work with a coach, someone like Lazina, that can actually give the actual tools and the insights to dive deeper into it and be able to not just give you the tools, but hold the space for you, in order to make this happen. Um, because it's really foundational. And one of the great things is that the timeline starts to shrink. What I've observed in my business as well has been where there's things that I've done for like weeks and months and months. And then all of a sudden I speak to someone, they give me this awareness that they're like, hey dude, just do this instead of that. It's like, okay, I'll try that. And then in a month, it's like boom, all of a sudden it's like the floodgates opened up and it's like, okay, I could just do that instead. That works out, no problem. And then all of a sudden, it's like this timeline of like, oh, it's going to take me 2, 3, 4 years to accomplish X, happens in 12 to 18 months, or happens much quicker. There's countless stories of that happening, and I'm also a big believer in also filling our environment with these stories. So go through social media and unfollow, unfriend, or anything that's giving any sort of negative, anything that's saying like I'm fat because of this, I'm broke because of this, or anything that comes up that's feeding negativity into your mindset. Unfollow, delete, block, replace it with something else that's going to give you encouragement, that's going to give you motivation, that's going to help to reprogram the mind to not go into that mode of looking at the worst case situation, but to be able to look at things from a lens of faith. And it's a very powerful quote from Martin Luther King where he said, faith is taking the first step when you can't see the rest of the staircase. An entrepreneur journey is like that in many, many ways, where we're taking steps and we can't see what's ahead of us, but we just have to have faith that we're taking the steps and we're doing the right things. And having the knowledge, having the encouragement, and having the belief within yourself, and actually a plan to be able to continue going forward when it looks like everything says to give up will really make a big difference in the journey for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you very much. Very good.
yeah.
Maybe
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Arfan and Shabir. Right. Like, so, yeah, when I was listening all your stories, right? So, yeah, that's so good, right? And yeah, really a good podcast sessions today, right?
Yes.
A lot
Yeah.
of learnings and everything.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for coming on, and the invitation is open to come on at any time and continue the conversation in different ways. We have several kinds of um topics that we're going to cover, so we might reach out to you guys again. Would love to have that insight. So before we wrap up, Arfan and Shabir, and also Nunashid, how would, if anyone would like to have further conversations with you guys, how might they be able to do that?
Yeah. So how they can reach you, Shabir and Arfan?
I think it would be best if it's through email. I can send you my email. That would be the safest one, because I'm not somebody that great that I expect a tsunami of requests, but still, I think email is always best, as long as they make a clear introduction that it's not junk mail.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that would be fine. If they want to go through you, that's obviously also okay and even better. So
Yeah,
no,
should we put the LinkedIn link as well, right? So
yeah, sure.
sure. All right. Arfan?
Yeah, so if anyone listening right now who is a course creator or coach or have a membership or any kind of digital program or digital business, go to my website, arfohussein.com/seven biggest mistakes. And there you can be able to get access to a 25-minute video where I break down some of well, not break down some, I break down these seven most common mistakes coaches are making when it comes to lead generation, especially using Facebook and Instagram. So that's a great resource. And that'll just put you into my world to be able to contact me. You can also shoot me a direct message at arfon@growautomatescale.com. That's my personal email address to be able to connect with me. And then lastly, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Grow Automate Scale. Or if you Google me up, arfoninsane.com, I do have a professional profile and you can follow me and shoot me a DM and have a conversation there too as well. I do also have a side project I'm working on for those who are men who are looking to really experience your true and your full potential and really overcome things, anxiety, depression, problems that have been really stuck with for a long time and looking to really step into entrepreneurship or just move into life in a very more authentic and happy way. I do have a space that I'm opening up, and you can just shoot me a direct message on Facebook or Instagram or at rphonestein@growautomatescale.com. And I give more details for that. Starting off locally in Florida first, but definitely looking to expand nationwide. So be happy to connect with anyone who look to be able to get away a few times a year to have a little cathartic experience to be able to get away from technology, get away from the rat race, get away from the hustle and bustle, and be able to just get inward and also reconnect with yourself and really create some wonderful and new experiences in life. Yeah, definitely reach out and connect with me.
Awesome. And if anybody wants to connect with me, you can go to lazina.com. You can schedule a complimentary call there, or send me an email at repair@lazina.com, or just find me online. I'm pretty reachable. I may be doing some Bollywood TikTok wannabe. My inner teen likes to pretend that she's a Bollywood star, and I'm okay with duets. And but also, I'm here for your relationship repair. I created the relationship repair language, which is available on Amazon. It is 6 language to learn so that we can learn how to come back from conflict. We can learn how to return to love and return to each other in a way that not only give our relationship more meaning, but it's more connecting in love.
Absolutely. And anyone can
Awesome.
wants to reach out to me, it's something like nashidali@gmail.com for the email. And LinkedIn, you will find Nashid, right? So in other professions, like apart from the entrepreneurship journeys, I'm also a life coach. So if anyone is struggling with any kind of life, uh, midlife, career, or anyone in the C levels wants to think of starting the entrepreneurship or stuck in a comfort zone, reach out to me. And from my experience of 25 years, right, from corporates to entrepreneurs to consultant, and definitely I'll be helpful to provide you suggestions and going from point A to point B, help you on board. Yeah, that's all about.
Thank you guys for joining us today, and for our listeners and our viewers, we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks very much for the
Right.
time.